Reverend Israel Buffardi. You see him for pronouns, and I am still the minister of this congregation. And it is my pleasure to welcome all of you here to this space. You are the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. You are a progressive spiritual community where we come together to nourish the spirit, connect in love, and act for justice. We are a place where we come together to seek answers to life's most persistent questions. Letting it be to find the truth and knowing that there may or may not be a question to all of the things that we are wondering in this world about. Here in this congregation, UUCL, as we like to call ourselves, love is our only doctrine, and service and justice are our most sacred prayers. The word pray means simply to ask. That's the root of the word prayer. So we pray by asking questions of ourselves. How can the world be better? What can I do to be more loving to my neighbor? What can I do to meet the pain and the injustice that I find in the world and the sorrow that I find in myself too? And we affirm our doctrine of love here too, our only doctrine, by going out into the world and seeking to live lives that are filled with compassion, to live lives that allow us to connect more deeply with one another. And we have affirmed love here for decades too. That love is divine and love is what makes a family. We gather here in a Unitarian Universalist congregation because we know that the universe is a complex place full of many different truths and many different revelations and many different ways of understanding the world. So we come here because we know that the complexities of wisdom in the world are much too complex to be summed up in any one religious tradition's dogma. We come here because we like questions. And we come here because we like to make meaning in our lives. Make meaning from what we encounter, even if it feels senseless and meaningless sometimes. We come here because we are people of conscience. Questioning people, curious people. Here in this space, we know that religion has not always been a force for good, even if it has done good. So here in this space, we try to hold a place for anyone to heal who needs some healing from the ways that religion has harmed you or told you that you are not valuable or lovable, in the ways that religion has told you that you needed to be saved when you know that you were born with original blessing, not original sin. We try to do something different here in Unitarian Universalism that is more expansive and more creative, more human. So I welcome you all here to this space with me, to continue to do those things. To continue to do those things that you were doing long before I got here. Here in this room, we invite you to do what you need to do during the service. If you feel moved by something and you want to move, move. Get up. Dance. Get a tissue. Look out the window, or at the window. Cry if you need to. Yell if you need to. Talk back to me if you need to. Sigh if you need to. Groan if you need to. This is not a place where we bring some perfect, idealized version of ourselves, but where we bring our imperfect, honest, authentic, bruised, sad, happy, joyful, and everything that lies in between selves. In short, even if this was your grandma's congregation, this is not your grandma's congregation. And so we are happy that all of you are here, even if this is your first, second, third time, or fourth time, and you're still feeling out whether or not this is your community. We welcome you here. If you need to move and do something with your hands, there's a table back there during the service where you can find some things that it can occupy your hands, your body, allow you to move, and there are some mats on the floor if you need to move around. And if you need to make noise during the service, no matter what age you are, do it. That lets us know that we are thriving and vibrant and alive and growing. We are a multi-platform community too. Even though we are gathered here in the sanctuary, there are people joining us on Zoom who are creating community in the multi-platform out there with you, watching and discussing, and that little eye up there, that little lens, is their world coming into us, letting them see us. And so I invite you to take a moment to turn to that little camera up there and give a wave. And I have a feeling that they're probably waving back, even though you can't see them. And now, if you want to, I invite you to take a moment to greet your neighbors here that you are in body with. And when you are ready, we prepare ourselves to enter into what we call sacred space, which means we turn our attention to our values, to the things that we say are important in our lives and in our world. We turn our attention to this hour of worship, to worship what is good and right in all of us, and to seek to make those values come more alive in the world. Do you need me to be louder? Can you turn up the volume? As we prepare ourselves to reflect on our values, we must reflect on the ways that our world does not fully reflect our most sacred ideals. We enter into this space with a land acknowledgement and acknowledge the truth of this land that we are gathered here on. We are gathered on land once inhabited by people known as the Susquehannock and Conestoga. And here in this sacred space, we cannot enter into it without acknowledging the violent legacies of displacement and resettlement and settlement that led to us being here today. This land, this place carries these memories, and we remind ourselves to live humbly in relation with this land and all of the indigenous peoples still loving and living on this continent. I'm going to light our chalice in a moment, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, a bright light shining for us. This morning, I suggest that that light may remind us that even in the darkest moments, when light seems hardest to find, even in the darkest moments at the darkest point of the evening, during the longest night of the soul, even when all feels lost, the earth will still move on its axis, and the sun will always rise in the morning. That is the gift of this existence, of this life, that a new day, a new opportunity for more love and more meaning will always rise. The sun must rise. And we, too, must take our lesson from the sun and rise to greet this gift of a day. Rise to greet this beautiful morning, this painful morning, this complicated morning, this morning that is the stuff of life. We must greet each other and meet the challenges of the world, and let our tender, broken, and beautiful hearts be open to joy too. To let our beautiful hearts open to life. Let this light of love and hope shine on every face in this sanctuary, this and every morning. Will you please join me in singing our opening hymn, which is number 1000 in the Teal hymnal. Morning has come. Can you all see this? This is my interpretation of a song, of a story called "The Rabbit Listened," and it's by Corey Durfield. It's called "The Rabbit Listened." "The Rabbit Listened" by Corey Durfield. If you need me to speak up, please let me know. Yeah. Imagine, if you will, that you are gathered in a room that is very important to you. And you are gathered there to build something. And you have gathered there to build something. And you are very excited to build something new, something different. You have a set of blocks. And you have people to build it with. You are attempting to build it in a new way. In a way that's maybe taller and higher, interesting. You put a lot of thought into how you were going to build that thing. And a lot of excitement. You put your whole self into it. All of your hopes, all of your dreams. Maybe some of your shaky fears about what could be or what could not be, or what might go wrong or what might fall as you're trying to build it. But you built it anyway because that's what humans do. We dream and we live and we hope and we build. And we try to make things better for ourselves, for the world. We try to be creative about how we're doing it. And we're flexible along the way when things don't go as planned. And maybe you built that thing and you had it looking pretty good and you liked the way that it looked. And then somebody or something came along. Out of nowhere, without warning, and knocked it over and started to take its pieces down. Started to dismantle what you have built. Or maybe just moved it around. And now it looks a little different, and some of the pieces that you put in place aren't there. But maybe, that's not the whole story. Maybe there's still a foundation there. But because we're people and we have feelings, and life is not blocks or books, you had to sit with that pile for a little while to try to make sense of it. And in this story, pretend that you are a child and you have some animal friends. And they come in and they want to help you because you're sad or upset. So first the chicken comes in, and the chicken says, "Oh no! This is so disappointing. Let's talk about how disappointed you are." And you say, "No, I'm not ready to talk." And then your bear, and so the chicken leaves. And then your friend the bear comes in, and the bear says, "Arr! I am so mad. Let's talk about it. You must be so angry. Let's shout." You say, "No, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to shout." So the bear leaves. Then your friend the elephant comes in and says, "Let's remember all of the beautiful things. Let's try to remember exactly how it was built and to rebuild it exactly the way that it was." And you look at it and you say, "That's impossible. I can never do that. It will never be exactly the way it was." Or maybe your friend the hyena comes in and says, "Let's laugh. Isn't this funny?" And you say, "No, it's not." Or the ostrich comes in and said, "Let's hide and pretend like nothing's happening." The kangaroo comes in and says, "Let's clean up this mess and get it all sorted out right now." Or the snake comes in and says, "Let's go knock down." What? And why? To try to understand the nuances and the complexities of life together. Any of you who have been watching the news this week might be asking why, how, again. As someone who is a parent, I have no words. I really don't. Only anger, only deep questions, only screams in my soul right now. As a minister, I do have one prayer, one question for any of the people out there. The reality is, this is not because of anything you did or didn't do. The reality is there's nothing that you could have done or not have done that would have changed the outcome. In my life, as a person on this planet, I have always believed strongly that as long as I have breath in my body, I must answer the call of life to bring me where it must. And that I must take risks. I'm going to give you one more story. Imagine, if you will, a young person and an old person having a conversation. And the old person comes to the conversation claiming that they have the most beautiful heart they have ever seen because it is perfect and flawless, perfectly whole, if such a thing ever existed, and flawless. And the older person says, no, my heart is so much more beautiful, except their heart is scarred and torn and marked, affected by the world and all of its complexities. It also has some glitter in there too, and some sparkles and some light from all of the beauty in the world too. And the young man says to the young person, let's say, says to the old person, no, my heart is more beautiful because it's perfect, smooth. And the older one says, no, mine is so much more beautiful because each one of these marks, these scars, represents a time when I tore out a piece of my heart and I gave it to someone. And each of these stitches represents a time when someone else tore out a piece of their heart and gave it to me. And sometimes the tearing left a hole, or the new piece that was put in there didn't fit perfectly and it's jagged around the edges and it doesn't look quite right. But it is who I am. And it made me who I am. And as long as I have breath, I must go out and give my heart to the world in deep and meaningful ways. That life calls us all to bear our hearts to the world and to each other. Even to give our hearts, even when we don't get back quite the same thing that we gave out. Sometimes we give out a piece and it takes a while to get it back. Sometimes it leaves a tear or a scar. A perfect heart, an unbroken heart, an untorn heart is one, probably not possible. And two, is perhaps to me more sad than one that has experienced some life. That doesn't mean that it always felt good. That doesn't mean that it was always easy. That doesn't mean that after someone is gone that the pieces might linger, or they might come off, or they might need to be sewn back on, or they might get lost. And at that point in the story, because I'm still telling you a story, and you might have forgotten that I was telling you a story, the younger person looks at the older person and is moved deeply. Looks at their perfect heart and tears out a piece and gives it to the older person, who takes it and puts it in one of those holes that was in their heart. And the old person takes out another piece that's already been torn out a few times and gives it to the young person, who puts it where that hole was. And of course it doesn't fit perfectly. But for the first time, even though they were broken, they felt somehow whole, somehow right, somehow like life had called them to do exactly what life was calling them to do. I have given you a piece of my heart. Many pieces, I think. And you have given me yours. And neither of us will be forever as we were before. And it might hurt right now, because the wound is still fresh. But I can't think of any other way to live as a person on this earth than to take those risks and to do what I must. I'm going to invite you to sing with me, just as long as I have breath. Because as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life's challenges, pain, and suffering, and trust in life. And as long as my heart beats, for as long as I am lucky, I have to love. Even if disappointment and heartache pierce me through. It's number 6 in the gray hymnal.
Just as long as I am breath, I must answer yes to life. Though the pain I made my way, still with all
For our benediction today, Eli and I are going to sing you a song. You have the lyrics, and we're going to invite you to join in. I share this with you because I want you to know that for me, like I just said, life is this process of always becoming who I must become, of you becoming who you must become. We don't become from nothing. We bring all we have done and all of who we are and all who we have encountered along the way with us into our future, and that shapes who we become. But we can't stop the process because that is life itself. And we don't need to leave behind the things that are painful. We bring them with us, and we heal in the ways that we need to. But all of us are always in the process of becoming and dreaming. And I think it's beautiful, even when it's hard. Yeah. I am what I'm becoming. I am all I have done. I am what I am dreaming. I've only just begun. I am what I'm becoming. I am all I have done. I am what I am dreaming. I've only just begun. You are what you're becoming. You are all you have done. You are what you are dreaming. You've only just begun. You are what you're becoming. You are all you have done. You are what you are dreaming. You've only just begun. I invite you to sing We Are, if you'd like to. We are, we're becoming. We are all we have done. We are what we are dreaming. We've only just begun. We are, we're becoming. We are all we have done. We
My name's Darcy Pollock. This is the time in our service where we all bring our treasures, some of them time, talents, and of course our financial treasures that help to support our Unitarian Universalist congregation. The offering will now be received.